Happy New Year to everyone as well. This is
All right.
officially the first episode of 2023. So we're in a brand new year, new you, new auditions, new projects, new shows, new victories. I'm really excited too because Brandon, you were in here yesterday. As everyone knows, we're actors. I'm also a stand-up comedian. We write and produce things as well here through Laughing Vikings and Actors Audition Club. And something new that has come into my world recently is I was recently hired and asked to write a feature film script treatment from sort of a rough draft that had been put together. I've been asked to tighten it and hone it and polish it. So the last week I've gone a deep dive into script writing and story structure, especially using there's a famous book out there called Save the Cat, which is a 15 beat. Generally, most Hollywood movies are going to follow a 15 beat 3-act structure. And the book Save the Cat goes through those 15 beats. So we started with a log line and then we expand. Here, I'm going to show you here.
Oh,
there
yeah.
it is.
Show the board. There it is.
There's the beat board here. And so, yeah, essentially this is Act 1 is at the top. You got about 9 scenes. Then Act 2 in the middle, double the amount of scenes. Usually Act 2 is the meaty one. And then you got Act 3 at the bottom. And his suggestion in Save the Cat, Blake Snyder is the author's name, who's a filmmaker or a screenwriter and filmmaker, is a lot of people make the mistake when they're writing a movie. They're like, I'm going to write a movie. And they just sit down with an open page on their word processor or in Final Draft or whatever. And they just start and then they just go and they go and they go. And then you end up with this convoluted story that doesn't really follow proper story structure or is just twisted. And you can kind of get lost in your own writing. So his suggestion is know what the movie is about first in your log line, which is like 2 sentences that tell the main action of the protagonist. Maybe you mention the antagonist. What do they want? What are they fighting for? What are they going for? Maybe there's a mention of an obstacle or some mention of the world as well that they're in. And then you go from there rather than starting. So it's the idea of you kind of begin with the end in mind. And then before you even write out the script, use something like this visually. I mean, you could do this on a checklist if you don't have cue cards at home. And you literally just write out the beats, which are the main scenes, the main action of the plot. And then what you end up with is each one of these cards represents a 2 to 3 minute scene or a 1.5 minute to 3.5 minute scene. And then you just bang out all the scenes after that. And then lo and behold, you got a movie. Ooh. So I've been burning the candle at both ends, working on this. Really fun, actually. And now that I know, I'd never gone quite so deep into screenwriting and especially story structure. And not that you can't fuck with structure a little bit. And every once in a while, somebody comes out with a movie that turns structure and story kind of on its end or on its side. But generally, 90% of movies that you see will follow a 3-act structure. Very much the hero's journey for those who are familiar with our Audition Hero workshop or Joseph Campbell's Audition Hero teaching. But it's really fun because this is like all of us as actors, we have the opportunity to write your own stories. But just like acting, it's screenwriting is also a craft. So it's something that needs to be learned and honed. And the one thing I love too is just a side note is we live in a world now where you have access to all of the industry professionals everywhere at your fingertips. So it's like the person who has never written a screenplay before, who just decides I'm going to sit down and write a screenplay without reading a book, without taking some classes, some courses. I literally went to Screenwriting University 101 and 201 and 301 and 401 over the last week. So I would say right now we got 3/4 of the stories. I got a couple plot holes. So stay tuned for this feature film. I can't reveal any of the details right now. It's all under wraps. But there's actually a huge A-list star that apparently has expressed interest pending a treatment and a script. So kind of like I'm down and I'm excited and available. You show me the goods and I'll sign the contract type thing. So there's a lot of big potential riding on it. And my hope is that this is the first one of 2023. And then once you learn how to write a treatment and write a script, so you can just keep cranking them out.
Yep.
So by the end of the year, and that's for everyone who is new to Laughing Vikings and Actors Audition Club, our mission is to uplift, inspire, and empower a global audience by helping actors and comedians share their stories via TV and film. And ultimately, I want Laughing Vikings to be like Heartbeat Productions or Happy Madison Productions, which are Kevin Hart and Adam Sandler's production companies, where you eventually reach a point where rather than having to audition, we all love auditions, and you're here at the Audition Podcast, so you're in the right place for auditions. But wouldn't it be nice if you can just write your own projects, create your own projects, and cast all your friends and the people that you love to be in it? So ideally, long term, that's what we're working here at Laughing Vikings and Actors Audition Club, so that we can end up casting our friends and greenlighting our own projects. And I just want to have a big fucking dumpster truck of money, and everyone who, like, that comes, the amount of talent, you know this, Brandon, the actors and comedians that come through, and most people are working professionals, but not necessarily made men or made women. And I just want to be the point where I can just be like, hey, Chris Locke, as an example, here's $1 million to make your show. Go do it. Presented by Laughing Vikings. So that's the dream, and that's what we're working on here.